Many anglers like to finesse tiny jigs for wintertime bluegill. But as fish heads Jon Thelen and fellow guide Jeff Sundin show us next, high-action jigging spoons are a great option for triggering aggressive fish during peak feeding periods.
It's got him. Oh yeah, that one feels like the right kind. He's going in circles when they. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice little gill to start our day off there. That's a great little eater to start, isn't it?
Yep, I'll take those all day.
You know, we're fishing on a lake today that is not loaded with bluegills. It's not loaded with crappies, but here's the thing. There's a fair amount of decent sized fish in here. There's just not a lot of fish. And one of the things that happens when you're fishing a lake like that is you have to understand that the fish do a lot of moving because there's not just piles of them everywhere. And you look at a fish like that, that's a great eater. You know, he's not a giant, but we'll get bigger ones today because this lake has bigger ones in it. But here's the thing. What you got to understand is that these fish move a lot, and you've got to do something to make sure that you grab their attention. Because here's the thing. If you just sit there and fish a really passive bait in a lake where there's not a lot of the fish you're looking for, a lot of these bigger bluegills, crappies that we're looking for today, here's what you find out. You don't grab their attention. So they're on the roam, and then all of a sudden they'll just sneak by you because you didn't grab their attention and get them to you. So one of the things we're doing today is we're fishing really, really aggressive, and we're fishing really aggressive baits for bluegills and crappies. And I'll tell you what, if you do that, you're going to see today that you can grab these fish's attention even when they're on the roam and get them to come right to you and hit. Now here's the thing. There's not a pile of them in here. I mean, I'm looking at the graph right now and it's not loaded, but I know this. If I drop back down and work this bait really aggressively and Jeff keeps working aggressively, we're going to bring more of them in here. Let's get back down there and see if we can't get another one's attention. There he is. Ooh, that feels like a pretty good one right there. Oh, that, you know what was really cool about this? I wasn't even sure what I had going on there, Jeff. All of a sudden, everything lifted. Oh yeah, look at that. That gill right there, he actually came up and he lifted that spoon. You can see, I mean, look how he bit that spoon. He just ate that thing. And it just goes to show you that big bluegills like that, they have no fear of a big bait. And that's why we drop these down there, because it grabs their attention. I promise you, there's a lot of little fish swimming around here too. And a lot of times by using these bigger aggressive baits, you won't have to weed through as many small fish. You'll just get what you're after right there. That's how you like to get them right there. I mean, look at that. That whole treble hook is in that fish's mouth. That is just, I mean, talk about eating.
That one was hungry.
We'll let that guy go and get plenty of fish. One of the things I want to talk about, though, too, about how we're getting these fish's attention is taking the time to put baits down there that you know are going to grab their attention. There's two different ways to do it as far as I'm concerned. One is with color. And if you look what I'm using today, I'm using a Rattling Flyer spoon. And I'm using a really, really bright color here. It glows on the back and it's pink on the front. And I'll tell you what, this new scarlet color just grabs their attention from a long ways away. That color is something that they can see from a long ways away. And the other thing is with noise. So you can tell with that Rattling Flyer spoon, I got just that little bit of noise. And then by the time we work both of these baits aggressively, Jeff's working a Frosty jigging spoon over here. I'm bouncing this thing around. We're grabbing those fish's attention either with their sight or their lateral line. And I'll tell you what, it stops them, brings them to where you're at. Ooh, you almost had one there, didn't you? And that's how you get these fish when they're on the roam. You got to put something down there, though, that's going to grab their attention. Let's get this back down there. Man, that's a fun gill to catch, that one right there.
John's got the Rattling Flyer spoon on, and that's a great choice for this. I'm sticking with the good old-fashioned Frosty jigging spoon. I don't have the rattle, but I've got a lot of good things going for me here. I've got the glow color, red, nice, bright, a lot of waxworms on that treble hook. And what I like to do sometimes is be able to get their attention. I use the bait really aggressively to get them to come in, but once they're in, slow down, just barely move it at all, let them come up and grab those waxworms. A lot of times those fish finish the deal for you. You don't have to keep working them, you just have to get their attention. Comes a couple right now. See him moving in there? Come on, come on. Oh, there he got.
He didn't waste any time, did he?
Not after I just lifted up about a foot. Oh, there we go.
Oh, look at that one.
I'm a little bit tangled up. Look at that. That's a, you know what?
That's a dandy right there.
That's a nice pumpkin seed right there. That's probably pushing 9 inches. You know, one of the things that can be frustrating for us guys especially, we're used to going in the wintertime like a lot of people do and try to catch panfish around the deeper holes, and this lake doesn't have that. There's tons of shallow water, a lot of 5, 6, 7 foot. In the summertime it's all filled with wild rice, and there's just a little depression here. It drops down from 7 feet to about 12, 13, maybe 14 in some places. And one of the things that causes gray hair is waiting for these fish to move around the outer edges of this little depression. 3, 4 fish come in at a time. That's one of the reasons why we're using bigger, more active baits, because not only do we want to get their attention to make them come in, but when we get 3 or 4 fish, we want to keep their attention. We want to have them sit there as long as we can and try to get 3 or 4 fish out of a school. Hang on to
yep, that's a great one, bud. Hey, you know, the other thing to keep in mind, too, in the situation we're sitting in here, is it is so tempting to want to go to the middle of that hole. In fact, I'm going to tell you, when we got here, that's the first thing I did is I went out and I drilled through the middle of that hole, because so often you just want to believe that that's where the fish are going to be. But like Jeff was saying, when you look at how this whole situation lays out here, these fish are actually feeding around the edge and they're moving all around it. So all we've kind of done is picked a little bit of an ambush spot on the edge of the hole where there's a little bit of an extra turn in there, just something that might hang them up so that while they're coming through here, they have that second extra to see our baits. And then we're just banging these baits around there and doing everything in our power to grab their attention. Oh, he's got it. I was just starting to lift above him. I didn't even really feel him hit. All of a sudden, he was just sucking up. Look at that. Another one of those great pumpkin seeds.
That's a pretty fish.
Look at that. What a great way to wrap up a day. I'll tell you, you get out on these basin-style lakes where you don't got a lot of structure, and it's actually a lot simpler than you may think. All you got to do is find these edges, find where these fish are cruising, and fish like that one right there, they'll end up in the pail because they're pretty predictable. One of the big things, though, make sure you're using a bait that's going to bring them in. Use something that's going to make some noise, flash some color, whatever it may be. Grab their attention, get them underneath your house, because I'll tell you what, once you get them here, they're going to bite.